Hi there! You saw lots of animal rescue videos on my channel. Some of them impressed you more than others. So now I decided to gather all the coolest stuff in this video. Be ready to feel touched by the most amazing heroes that did an extremely significant job. All the rescues in this video are real and are the demonstration of kindness and compassion. Where the weather is always warm, there are always many stray animals. For example, in North Africa, the man heard the cry of the little kitten and decided to find the poor kid. It turned out that the kitten was sitting in the engine compartment of the car. The kid cried and was scared. The man tried to lure him out with a fish, but it didn't work. Then the kitten came out on his own, and at that moment, the savior caught him. The man took the baby home, gave him water and food to the hungry child. He was starving. The kitten was affectionate, and he even began to purr in the man's hands. Now this cute kitten is safe. A man noticed this young puppy as he rode past on a scooter. The lonely puppy did not know what to do. He just stood with his head stuck in the iron mesh of the fence. But his rescuer helped him free himself from the shackles. The puppy was glad of his salvation. The rescuers in St. Petersburg, Russia, rushed to help a cat that somehow had got stuck in a car wheel. It was a rather serious challenge, as the hole was too narrow. With the help of vegetable oil, they tried to push the cat's head through, but failed. Later, they decided to use some special equipment to cut the metal wheel. All the rescuers wanted was not to hurt the poor cat. It was extremely delicate work, but they succeeded and the naughty creature was set free. The unfortunate raccoon wanted to feast on the remains of mayonnaise in the jar, and he nearly suffocated when stuck inside. Rescuers from the Toronto Wildlife Center came to the raccoon and quickly freed the raccoon's head from the trap. Having removed the can, which was tormenting the raccoon, the poor animal began to breathe greedily. These were definitely some of the best breaths in his life. I want to remind you that your voice means a lot in helping the rescuers to go on their hard work. So do choose the rescuer you like most. The man, Devnaz by name, saw an injured cat near his office. The cat had blood on his muzzle. He looked like a fighter after a fight in the ring. The bloody cat was in agony from pain and did not allow himself to be helped. He was partially paralyzed. Most likely, the street cat was defeated in a fight with a local street dog named Baron. The man took the cat with the help of a jacket to avoid being hit by a street fighter. The cat was in an aggressive mood. The victim was brought into the office where there was another cat. The fighter was given an injection and will soon be taken to the vet. Well, let's hope his wounds are not very serious. By some miracle, this kitten was lucky. A girl noticed him, and there was only an abandoned house nearby. The kitten cried from desperate attempts to get out of the iron shackles. The kid is stuck in a piece of iron pipe. He could not walk, and no one was there to help. Fortunately, the girl who heard him cry helped the baby to free the kitten. Some cat was seen nearby, possibly his mother. However, the kitten chose to follow his savior. The baby will now have a new and safe home. The Hope for Paws rescue team got an emergency call from a scared woman who had suddenly realized that she had been driving for some time with a kitten inside her engine. It was a rather difficult task to get to the kitten, as it had to go to a very deep place inside the car. The kitty was extremely scared and was puffing aggressively.
Let's just establish that I'm not afraid of you. It's okay.
It was a great challenge to take it out and not let it run towards the traffic. With the help of people living nearby, the rescuers blocked the way to the road. But the kitten managed to run away and hide under another car. This tiny thing was a real troublemaker. It traveled from one car to another until hiding in the engine of the last car. The rescuers spent 20 minutes waiting for the owner of the car to open the vehicle cover. The naughty kitten was saved. After having a bath, the nice ginger beauty was very happy to stay with his rescuer. A group of villagers found the sick elephant who had only a little life left and called the wildlife department to rescue it. It was lying helplessly in a deep hole, almost motionless. The animal was very thin, and was sure to lie like that for a rather long time. Had to call an excavator to make the hole wider and prepare the way out for the elephant. But the poor creature didn't find enough strength to get out. So the rescuers used ropes to tie the legs of the elephant and to pull him out of the hole. The vets started their work immediately, giving the animal necessary injections and feeding him with IV fluids. In a few days of feeding, the elephant was strong enough to stand on its own feet and went away. The female dog was stuck in a chamber for 2 days and was rescued by a team of Animal Rescue India project in Nashik City. The problem was caused by a sudden water rise in the canal due to heavy rains. The strong current drove the poor creature into this chamber and trapped her there. The rescuers took the high ladder and got into the chamber, using climbing equipment. At last, the poor dog was taken out of her trap. I really hope she'll be okay. These rescuers had to release the bobcat that had gotten into a trap not far from their house. Dealing with a wild animal is kind of dangerous stuff, you know. Using a board with a hole on its bottom, one of the rescuers approached the scared and furious animal. He placed the board in the way that the trapped paw could get into the hole. For a moment, the bobcat stopped fuffing and calmed down to let the man release its paw quickly. Then the rescuer moved away step by step from the animal, letting it go. The cat was a bit confused and didn't go away for some time, but everything ended okay. The specialists from Animal Aid Unlimited India received a call about a tiny piglet with a wounded neck. When they arrived at the place, they found lonely and scared baby that was separated from her mother. She had terrible pain and was completely exhausted. The vets cleaned her wound, gave her some medicine, and fed her, of course. The rescuers called her Olivia and were fond of her kind nature. Sometime later, Olivia turned into a happy, playful piglet. She was very intelligent and did a lot of different tasks. But the most essential thing is her friendliness and gratitude to the people that saved her life. The wildly Indian was informed of a dire incident. A small fawn, the blue bull, was kept in captivity. Keeping this species at home is prohibited by law. It's not known where these people got the baby from, but he had to be saved. The baby was only 15 days old and was very hungry. The kid was so hungry that he clung to human fingers. He also had a stomach infection. The baby was immediately taken to the Sanjay Gandhi Animal Center. Now the baby will definitely be properly cared for and he will always be well fed. When he grows up and gets stronger, he will go into the wild. The 2-month-old pup got stuck in the concrete tube. The people that had found him had to use an electric drill to get to the unlucky prisoner. The pup was really scared and was hiding deep in the tube. The electric drill didn't help, and the rescuers also had to deal with a power saw to get to the puppy. And it was a really difficult task. At last, they managed to make a hole in the tube. The tube was too narrow, and the rescuers had a lot of troubles with pulling the creature out. The dog kept silent, hoping that the people would help. Finally, the rescue mission was complete.
Ой! Ура! Ура! Давайте хоть собаку заснимем! Ура! Спасли!
The couple of people were walking their dog along the trees and heard the cry. When they approached the police, they saw a little cub helplessly trying to call for his mom. It was all tangled with a net and couldn't get out. The desperate baby turned out to be a fox cub. The man untangled the poor thing and cleaned his fur. The little cub was likely to be left by his mom when she was escaping from poachers. The kind people brought the little baby home. Warmed up, he calmed down and fell asleep. When he woke up, he got food, washed him, and gave him love. The family decided to leave the baby at their place. Day by day, the little foxy felt better and better. In a month, he was a happy, funny guy, which had his own family. This little deer fell into the water and could not get ashore. Too high and sharp slopes for him. Fortunately, the guys from New School Fishing were swimming nearby, and without hesitation, entered the water to save him. A fawn looking very much like Bambi was frightened of men, tried to escape, but they surrounded him. One of the men caught the baby and put ashore. The kid immediately ran into the distance. The guys were very happy that they saved someone's life. Apparently, the fawn was only about 2 weeks from birth. We are sure that the mother was somewhere nearby and met her baby. People from Village Regional Channel tell about village life in India. This time, they tell about rescue operation for the cat that got in trouble. The poor cutie fell into a 40-foot well. The rescuers decided to use a very long stick to let the boy get out, but it didn't help. Then they tried a long rope with a loop, but the mission failed again. Next time, the rescuers took the bucket and put it down into the well. The silly animal didn't understand that the people want to help. At last, they managed to take the cat out by the rope, dragging as fast as possible. The scared cat was really aggressive and didn't let the people come close to take the rope from his neck. When everything was over, the poor thing ran away at full speed. Winter is a very hard time for playful and curious dogs, which tend to run on unstable ice very often. This dog got stuck falling through the ice. The water was too cold, and the rescuer had very little time to help him.
Come on, keep going. Keep going.
Every minute in that position could lead to irreversible damage to his health. Staying on such unstable ice was dangerous to the rescuer too. While she was trying to take the dog out, the ice was breaking. Getting out from the trap, the dog could swim by himself and the rescue operation ended successfully. The people rubbed him carefully with towels to warm him as quick as possible. It was a very snowy day, and the little stray kitten was really suffering from the cold. But luckily, the people from Rescue Animal Project found the poor creature and brought her home. She was wet and hungry and fell on food eagerly. She badly needed a bath and even calmed down, spending a few minutes in the warm water. Dry, happy, and relaxed after a bath, the little fellow didn't even know that now he was sure to live a happy cat's life, thanks to Rescue Animal Project. The guys at Hope for Paws save animals every day. On this day, they saved a couple of lives. They went on a call to rescue a little kitten who lives under a shipping container. It wasn't difficult for them. They quickly caught the baby and placed it in a carriage. However, right after leaving the place of rescue, they received another call asking for help. The kitten got hit by a car. The baby was carefully taken out and taken to the hospital. It's not known how badly the poor thing suffered. We can only hope that the baby will recover soon and everything will be fine. This guy fell into a deep well, and in order to save him, the guys from Rescue T, Animal Rescues India, had to apply new technologies. They lowered into the well a grid attached to a telescopic pole. The tired dog grabbed at it right away. He swam in the well for 12 hours, and he knew that they have come to save him. He was very tired, but also very happy after he was raised to dry land. A man found this young deer stuck in barbed wire in the fence, so he tried to free the deer from the trap. At first he pulled by one leg, but the deer slightly resisted. When the savior grabbed both hind legs, the deer decided to pretend to be motionless. Then the man called for an assistant, and they managed to free her from the barbed fence. The deer immediately galloped off into the distance, but on the way again, bent down to the fence. Fortunately, this time it did not get stuck and galloped further into the green distances. Let's hope that she remembered her previous experience and will not repeat this again. On June 13th, 10 whales washed ashore of one of the remote Scottish islands named Lochboysdale. Local residents and a volunteer from the Marine Rescue Service helped the whales get out of the shallow water. The whales were very ill. They lay on their backs and made mournful sounds. They cried for help. Their bodies stuck to the surface. Water was sorely lacking. People turned over the poor fellows and helped them get to a deeper place. Fortunately, all the whales were safely released and sailed off into the ocean. But not only dogs suffer in the streets, there are a lot of homeless cats that need people's love and care. Look at this unhappy boy with his injured ear. He is so dirty and depressed. After such a terrible life, the poor animal couldn't believe he would be okay, and that these people wouldn't do him any harm. But he could trust. He didn't even resist when the rescuers were washing him. He became so happy and relaxed when people were stroking him. It turned out that Teddy, as he was called, needed immediate medical care. He had some problems with his kidney functioning as the result of his living in the street. so he had to undergo the surgery. Teddy's recovery took 7 months, but now he is completely okay. Nobody expected such trouble, but this female giraffe made up her mind to hang out in the swimming pool and couldn't get out. The rescue team arrived to help. The creature was in a panic and trying to get rid of her trap, but taking a giant animal out of the pool was an extremely hard thing. One of the rescuers was holding the giraffe by the head. The rest of the group was doing their best to draw her out.
1, 2, 3! Humpback, 1, 2, 3!
At last, they managed to do it, but the giraffe was so exhausted that she couldn't stand up by herself. A bit later, fortunately, she recovered herself, got up, and went away. It's not clear how this little fellow got to the top of the dome home, which is located on one of the islands of Florida. But he was lucky that he was noticed in such an unusual place, and the police were able to save the poor kid from the trap. Now I think this raccoon will be more careful in choosing places for walking. This happened in a small village of one South Asia country, where it's always wet and where you don't find a lot of vets of supportive resources and shelters for stray animals. That's why street cats and dogs often got into trouble without any real help to come. This little cutie stuck in the pile of bricks and had no chance to get out by himself. The woman came to rescue the poor creature and had a lot of work to do because the pile was rather huge. It took her a great amount of time to get to the cat. She was afraid to do him any harm if some of the bricks hit him, but everything turned out okay and she could reach the boy. It turned out to be very little and needed food and care. Let's hope for a much happier future for him. A young deer fell into a swimming pool in a private garden, and it became one of the strangest rescues in the wildlife aid practice. The swimming pool was covered by a cloth, and the poor creature has probably decided it was a solid ground. The water was rather cold, and the animal was extremely exhausted. On seeing people, the frightened deer rushed from them, not letting the rescuers come closer. Sarah, the vet nurse, had to go down to the water to catch the poor thing. She managed to do that, but the deer suddenly escaped and swam in the middle of the pool. The mission had to be repeated. 4 adult people had to hold the deer in their arms to bring it to the car. Examining the animal, Sarah noticed that the deer had lost its low limb partially, but it seemed to live without it for a rather long time. So the rescuers decided to let the creature go, and it did as fast as possible. A bushfire in California separated this mountain lion cub from its mother so early. He's literally 3 to 4 weeks old, and he has already experienced such a huge loss. Rescuers found the baby in serious condition. He had a singed mustache and severe soft tissue injuries in his paws. Fortunately, after the x-ray, the doctors were able to make sure that the baby had no fractures or internal lung injuries. The little mountain lion cub is treated with pain relievers, antibiotics, and fluids, and fed with milk through a syringe. Unfortunately, it will not be possible for the baby to be released, since he will not be able to fend for himself. But fortunately, he will be settled in such a beautiful place as the Oakland Zoo and will be cared for regularly. The fox got entangled in the football net, but Simon and Lori from Wildlife Aid came to his aid. The hind right leg of the animal was quite tangled, and apparently, when the fox tried to get out of the trap, it got even more entangled. The rescuer began to cut the net. Having freed the fox, he examined the baby for damage. The fox was completely intact. The rescuer released the frightened fox in the hope of not seeing him again, especially under these circumstances. Pepper was an ordinary street dog, but she had severe scabies. Because of the scabies, the dog even lost its fur, and the face of the unfortunate girl was all in scabs. But one of the passers-by noticed her and called the hotline at Animal Aid Unlimited. Rescuers took the dog to their center. It took about 4 weeks to rid Pepper of the disease. Complex treatment was organized for her. IV fluids and medicine, as well as twice a week, Pepper took a medicated bath. It's amazing how Pepper has transformed at the end of the treatment. She has got new wool and is completely healthy now. A Chicago police officer turned out to be at the right place at the right time when a dog fell into Lake Michigan. The dog was just near the water when it suddenly slipped down. The man rushed to help and took the boy out of the water as quickly as possible. It was a really fortunate moment for the pup. The owners of this poor small puppy chained him to the gate and left him without food or water. It's not known how long the puppy was in such a situation. When the rescuer came to the puppy, it was impossible not to cry. The puppy was emaciated and sick. The young man freed the prisoner, gave him water and food. The puppy literally pounced on the food. Apparently, the baby was without any food for a very long time. After feeding the starving puppy, the man examined him more closely. He found ticks, fleas, fungus, and swelling on the poor thing, which made it clearly painful for the baby to go to the toilet. The savior cleaned the puppy's ears and took him home to take the baby to the doctor the next day. Now he has a man who loves him and cares for him. The rescue team Wildlife Aid received a call asking them to rescue a deer. The poor fellow got stuck with his horns in a wire fence. The guys went to the place. The deer turned out to be quite large. They had to apply a soothing injection to help the frightened animal. They gave him a small dose so as not to harm the wild animal. And so after 10 minutes, the deer was already much calmer. Rescuers covered the frightened deer's face to minimize the stress during all the rescue manipulations. The wire was cut and the deer antlers were freed. They also decided to give the wild animal an antibiotic and an anti-inflammatory injection. And after the complete release, the deer was injected with a reverse medication, the opposite effect of a calming one, and the happy deer fled into the distance. Car accidents happen not only to people, but to animals as well. But sorry to say, not all the people in this situation try to help. This poor cat wouldn't have had any chance to survive if the kind people from DAR Animal Rescue didn't come to help. He was badly injured and was in great shock. He was unable to move, and the rescuers had to put him in a box to bring him to the hospital. When the specialists were about to drive away, a woman from the neighborhood came closer to check if it wasn't her cat. "Oh, it's a stray cat," she said, as if the stray cat's life didn't matter. In the clinic, the vet examined the cat and found out that he had several injuries and couldn't breathe properly. But the vet was sure to do her best to save the helpless creature. Let's hope the kitty will be okay. In Durban, South Africa, a black mamba snake crawled into a truck engine. This is not what can usually be seen in engines at all, but Nick Evans, snake rescuer, turned out to be very brave. At first, he put a special stick in her, but there were too many obstacles in the way. Then the young man very cleverly grabbed the poisonous snake by the head and pulled it out. The snake was huge, about 2.5 meters.
It is a... Oh, look at him, man.
Oh, look at this guy, it's huge.
It's a big mamba.
Well, the courage of this man can only be envied. Jamal Galves, associate research biologist from the Clearwater Marine Aquarium Research Institute, rescued a baby male orphan manatee. They are known to nurse from their mother for 1 to 2 years and do not have any chance to survive on their own. That's why Jamal is sure to have saved the little creature's life of the little creature. He took out the baby out of the water. No one knows how long he had been staying without food. Jamal fed the baby, checked his health condition, and put him in the secure swimming pool. Here the manatee will stay until he is strong enough to live on his own. The Hope for Paws received a call from the kids with a message about a small stray dog living under a car. Rescuers arrived at the place of the call trying to catch the dog, but he was very scared and bounced back. Judging by his appearance, he was already of advanced age. The girl who fed earlier this old man helped to catch the chihuahua. The little dog confided in her and walked over. So she was able to pick him up and pass him on to the rescuers. The old fellow did not resist. The fangs confirmed the guesses about the age of the dog, and the dog also had very long claws and they were pretty overgrown, which caused serious discomfort. He had claws like an eagle. The poor little fellow was taken to a car where they prepared a small bed. The doggy cheered up and let himself be pet. When they arrived at the veterinary clinic, they immediately carried out water procedures for him, and then he fell asleep with a sound and sweet sleep. The next day, he underwent a medical operation. The Chihuahua was named Stimpy, and now having gone through all the medical and cosmetic procedures, he's ready to search for a new home. Mom dog was always in a hurry returning to her puppies, and one sad day she was hit by a car. Mom died, and her children were left orphans. Rescuers from Northeast Animal Rescue set off to find her children. The dog's family home was in the cemetery. They searched for puppies for a very long time, and eventually found the first puppy. She sat in the grass and nibbled on a straw. She was very thirsty. Fiona from the rescue squad gave her a drink of water. The girl drank it greedily. Fiona called her Briar. Having quenched the baby's thirst, together they went further in search, but they could not find any other puppies there. Nearly 150 suffering dogs were found in a big abandoned property in Dixie County, Florida. Scattered across a 5-acre territory, the dogs were in terrible condition. All of them had serious health problems. Many of the poor creatures had no access to food and water for a rather long time. The miserable dogs were so happy to see vets and were eager to come with them. They were all brought to a temporary shelter where they received emergency veterinary care. Unfortunately, in hot countries, there are serious problems with thoughtless animals, and it's not uncommon for their kids to be left alone at a very young age. For example, like this little baby. She whimpered alone on the street, looking for her mother, but could not find her. The poor woman was on the street until she was sheltered by a kind man. The man reassured the lost puppy and took her to his house, where he gave her warm milk. The girl was so small that she was not even used to drinking from a bowl. After eating, another lodger of this house came up to the baby, a cat, Orange. But another kid living in the same house was first scared of a new pet and hid under the refrigerator. While the kitten was shocked by the new neighbor, the puppy examined all corners of the house and tried to find her mother. Of course, she didn't find her mother, but Orange heard her whine and came to calm the lost baby. The puppy, feeling love and care once again, now was able to sleep peacefully. Arriving on call about an abandoned dog, rescuers were shocked by how many ticks were on this dog. There were at least 100, if not thousands of them. They sucked all the strength out of the poor fellow. The emaciated dog was waiting for the help of a man, and rescuers took her to the veterinarians. The doctors immediately began the process of cleaning the poor creature of ticks. The doctors removed the ticks from the poor dog's body step by step. The dog did not resist. For hygienic reasons, her coat was shaved. After making sure to remove the last tick, the doctors began treatment. They gave her a personal cage. She was happy to receive her home with constant food and care. This time, 11 raccoons got into trouble. Gates Wildlife Field Supervisor Joel was called out to rescue them from being stuck in the porch of a house. Under full renovation, the house was empty and the back door was left open one night. The naughty raccoons had got in and went to the front porch of the home. One by one, they eventually had climbed into the porch area.
Look at this one.
Then the front door had got closed and the intruders inside stuck for the night. Finding 11 raccoons inside of the house, the construction workers called the specialists. When Joel found these guys, they were really scared and snuggled up to one another. One by one, Joel booted them out.
Come on. Let's go. Come on, Tubbs.
This mom, the duck, was really nervous. Her ducklings extremely needed help. The poor little babies fell into the sewer. The people found the unlucky family and called the rescue team. The rescuer, using special equipment, opened the sewer and went down inside it. He took out the baby ducks with the help of a hoop net, put it into the carrier. When all the babies were saved, the rescuers set them free near their mother. The family was happily reunited. The guys from the stray rescue of St. Louis came for this frozen dog. He lay right in the snow near the road. The poor boy whined in pain and trembled from the cold. In fear, he pressed himself against a wooden post, but he quickly trusted the rescuers. In the car, he became much more joyful. He started to wiggle with his cute tail. Now, everything is all right with this little boy, and he will be taken to a warm shelter. The woman from DAR Animal Rescue Project saw a post on Facebook about an abandoned puppy wet from the rain left near the village road. When the woman got to the place, she found an extremely unhappy little creature. Her condition was awful. The woman took her to the hospital. The vets found out that it was a female, about 2 months old. She had a lot of troubles. Diarrhea, low heartbeat, fever, pus inside the eyes. Her body was full of fleas and ticks too. The doctor said that she had to stay in the hospital for a rather long time, but she was lucky to be found. The exhausted elephant fell to the ground. She was lying in the mud and even her eyelashes got in dirt. She couldn't get up, but inside she was struggling. The poor elephant apparently fought off the pack and accidentally wandered into human settlements. Local residents, wildlife department officers, and vets came to her aid. They all started working together. Presumably, the elephant got poisoned because she could eat from garbage dumps where people throw food and plastic. The elephant wanted to live and even tried to eat. They poured water over her to make her feel better. Near the sick elephant, the ground was so level that the veterinarians could provide her with medical care. Let's hope that the elephant will recover soon and get back on her feet. All the people in my list are real heroes, so please do vote for the case that touches you most. That's all for today. I really hope you enjoyed watching those people in the videos. Please give them your likes, subscriptions, and maybe donations. See you next time.